Good afternoon and welcome to Collegians Sporting Complex. The Whips well and truly cracking. It's the major semi-final. Thirroul, the minor premiers, versus Collegians. Been no splitting them this year. There certainly wasn't on the ladder, just for and against the difference in the minor premiership race. And absolutely no splitting these two sides through the regular season. A 2-point win to Thirroul in the opening match. Collegians at this venue in the return clash, getting the win by the same venue. You can imagine this is going to go right down to the wire again. I am Mitch Jennings, joined by a three-pronged attack this week. It's going to be. I'm joined by the sledgehammer, Corey Hammond. How you going, Hammer?
I'm good, Jeno and Johnny. What a great day for football. It's mild. It's a dry track though. Big crowd. Really looking forward to this one. Let's hope they throw up some footy like we saw last time these two sides played. And obviously you called that try of the century.
It ended up being the try of the century. Johnny Pett, we've been talking about this one for quite a couple of weeks now. We've always anticipated, once we did those sums and crunched the numbers a couple of weeks ago, eventually we always anticipated this might be the clash we'd be seeing in week 2 of the finals. It's all on the line.
Oh, it's arrived, hasn't it, boys? Hammer, the band's back together, isn't it? All three of us are here. Look, this one, it's the game we've been waiting for all season, isn't it? The two big guns are going to go hammer and tongs out here for 80 minutes. The winner through to the big dance in 2 weeks' time. The loser to face Western Suburbs. We're going to be graced with 3 weeks of absolutely champagne rugby league.
And Johnny, before the sides take the field, there has been a late withdrawal and a big one, in my opinion. Alec Reid, the fullback for Collegians, been so good this year. He is a late withdrawal. Matt Tilley coming in the number 1, although we did just see him play the full reserve grade clash, so he may have the one on his back. We might see a bit of a reshuffle, but Johnny Pett, can you run us through the sides, mate?
Yeah, the home side, the Collegians Collie Dogs, coached by Nathan Feen. And probably at fullback, we're going to go with Paul Roberts with the number 9 on his back today.
I anticipate that'll be the case.
Anticipate that'll happen. The wingers, Fletcher Winning and Jai Ellis. The centres, the informed Saxon Owner and Brad Manton, the most feared combination in the competition. The halves, Jared Boyle and Jack Cross. The front row, Jake Wood, Josh Dow. And coming off the bench into the starting side is Brodie Rigg. He'll wear the number 14, but he'll go into the dummy half role. The back row, Thomas Harris, the skipper, Blake Phillips, and the big Jared Thompson will lock the scrum. On the bench, James Spencer, Zach Hicks, Matt Tilley, and Jake Fitzgerald. And the Thirroul Butchers, coached by Jared Costello. We see them led out by their inspirational skipper, Joel Johnson. At fullback, Blake Higgins. The wingers, Hayden Crosland and Tom Simpson. The centre pairing of Wayne Dargan and Callum Tatawa. The halves, Ryan Fletcher and Jake Walsh. The front row, Damien Sirinan and Joel Ruskin. Number 9 and hooker and skipper, Joel Johnson. The back row, Luke Gallagher, Luke Dodge and Jared Whitty. And coming off the bench, Jack Noble, Michael Henderson, Aaron Shop and Cooper Purcell. Matchups all over the field, boys.
There are matchups indeed all over the park, as we see Collegians now taking the park. The other interesting one we saw, Johnny, we'll see if he's actually out there on the paddock. And he has. Jack Cross, a lot of commentary, I suppose, this week about how he'd go. He injured that ankle against Helensburgh 2 weeks ago. Limited duties at training this week, and we were having a look over in the warm-up, Johnny, and I'll tell you what, if he was a racehorse, you wouldn't be rushing to the terminal once you saw him about to go into the gate. It could have been a case of just trying to loosen up that strapping, but we'll see how he plays out. Key man for them.
He is a key man, Jack Cross. He's been so good this season for Nathan Feen with the 7 on his back. We watched him warm up. He was a little bit lame, and you're right, Mitch. If you've seen him in the parade wing, you wouldn't have your freight on him.
And we'll hand it over to the sledgehammer, Corey Hammond, to get us underway on the call. Sure to be a belter.
Jared Boyle starts us off as Thirroul get first use of the football. Finals football here in the Illawarra for 2019. And it is the major semi, of course, after last week's minor semi triumph by West. Now the Butchers working it away from their own end. They'll run to the southern end of the Collegian Sporting Complex in this first half. So they go to Gallagher on the right. He's up to within 10 of halfway. Of course, the Butchers coming into this, the minor premiers, but really it has to be said, advantage to Collies in this one.
Well, interesting, I spoke with Jared Thompson through the week, Hammer, and they talked a bit disappointed about missing out on the minor premiership. Well, I said it is week 2 and you are hosting the major semi-final, so not much of a muchness in that result. And as we anticipated, Johnny, Paulie Roberts has gone back to fullback there, and he's going to play at the back despite the number 9 being on his back.
Well, he looked sharp a couple of weeks ago here, didn't he, Mitch? We seen him play fullback, and we had a bit of an agreement there that was probably one of the better positions that he's played this season. So Nathan Feen got options around the paddock, especially with Alec Reid missing, which is going to be a bigger mission.
So the Collies Now working it up to halfway there, first set of the game. Of course, both sides finishing on equal points. This is Thompson. What a key he holds in the middle for the Dogs today. They go to the short side, and reaching for that one was Boyle in the 6th jersey, and it's Manton who's lost the ball, but it got a bit of help, and it'll be penalty to the Dogs.
Yeah, there it is. I'll say the ball got a bit of help, but you can see plenty of intent on this side defensively. Jared Boyle obviously patrolling this left-hand side, Johnny, and they weren't going to give him an inch there. There's obviously an intention to get up there and just really cut down his time, because he will cut you to ribbons if you give him time with the footy.
Yeah, he sure will. He's so good. Plays the short side so well. But there we've seen the first match-up of the day on this on the left-hand side there. The two centres, Manton and Thirroul. Isn't that going to be a battle?
Yeah, that's one to watch.
Now Wood with the duties of carting the ball up. He'll play it 25 out. Brodie Riggs starting the game at hooker. He unleashes Thompson, and Thompson's in the Butchers' red zone. A chance for the Dogs to open the scoring here. And a penalty. Well, decision time for Blake Phillips.
The two's gone straight up, Hammer. They're going straight for the 2 points. It'd probably be an indication of where we are. We always debate this, Johnny, whether it's the right call. We've seen it in the big games this year. All three coaches of the big three sides still in this competition. They don't mind an early 2 just to take some sting out of those contests, and this is a gimme from right in front, so probably a pretty decent call, I think.
Well, it's been the trend, hasn't it, against these big three teams, Thirroul, West and Collegians, that when the 2 points are offer, they've seemed to take it. They just know how vital these 2 points are going to be come the tail end of this game. And look, 2 early penalties given away there from Thirroul Butchers. Discipline's going to be the key for both of these sides. Jared Costello will be fuming about giving back-to-back penalties away.
So Jack Cross obviously not confident with that, carrying that leg injury into the game. And the man with the best name in Illawarra Rugby League, Fletcher, winning with the ball on the mound. He kicks it. It's 2-0.
I'd have been staggered, Hammer, if we'd seen Jack Cross kicking goals. He's got enough on his plate there, and I'm just looking at him run back here. Still looks hampered on that leg for mine, Johnny. We watched him in the warm-up, as we said. He's going to tough it out. As we said, it's all on the line in the major semi-final. You've got to sort of take the risk if you've got those guys that are 70 to 80% fit, but he certainly doesn't look like he's stretching right out on that one.
No, he doesn't look 100%, but we spoke about on the podcast this week, Mitch, we talked about if one of your players was 75, 80% fit and they were in the right frame of mind and willing to play, you've got to play them today. The winner goes through, has the week off. You have to play everyone that wants to play rugby league today.
And that podcast, Taste of Steel, I had a listen during the week, boys, doing a great job with that. And if you are a fan of this competition, I suggest you have a listen. And looking forward to hearing the thoughts of the boys as we go into the final fortnight.
And subscribe to the Illawarra Mercury, Hammer.
Nice little plug.
Got to subscribe,
there.
mate.
Why not?
VIP exclusive club. Get in there and subscribe. Illawarra Mercury, you can't miss.
As now the Dogs, after points, completion the key for Nathan Fiend's men. So Rick goes to Thompson. He finds some space in behind the ruck. Ruskin in there, Sirinen as well. Early kick from Boyle, charge down, and that'll be 6 again. Now I know they're crying for...
Now Thirroul's gone 1-on-1 as well. Interesting call there. Jared Boyle, he's right up in the face there of Ryan Jackson. He wants to be careful, Boyley.
So that'll
can't
be
getting
penalty,
that close.
It's got to be a penalty.
I was going to say between... And Callum Thirroul trying to take... I was going to say, between the two front rowers, don't you reckon, Johnny, the statue and Joel Ruskin, they look like a bit of a before and after shot, don't they? A bit of a booper scenario.
Ruskin will be loving the comparison to the statue.
He's a before shot, he's got to be, mate.
So the Butchers gifted an opportunity. The Dogs went the early kick and it didn't come up trumps, and now Johnson waiting at dummy half for the Butchers. They've got their line set out to the left. Whitty gets it off Walsh. He goes further afield there to Fletcher. Fletcher goes there to, it was Higgins who passed it on, but the play breaks down.
Good defence over on that side. I've mentioned it before, Saxon owner on that side, Johnny. It's a bit of that old Justin Hodges style of defence. He will show you the outside and back his pace, and they just showed Wayne Dark in the corner there and just bundled him in a touch. Some decent shape there from the Butchers, but well handled early on.
They went out the back twice. It looked really good there, the shape from the Butchers. But Saxon Ona, he's equal to Brad Manton as one of the best centres in this competition. We've probably got the top 3 centres in the comp on display out here today. But Wayne Dargan, we've seen him produce the GI fend throughout the year. I was really looking for that then, but Saxon Ona really got up underneath.
He got monster, didn't he? He just was all over him
cage, absolutely hammered there, Wayne Dargan. So there's another match-up to watch for the day.
Yeah, what a battle of the centres. And you look at this other side to Tower. Well, he scored one of the great grand final tries last season. watch out for him when he gets a bit of room. And like you said, Owner and Manton, well, geez, they are so solid for the Dogs. As now they head out to the short side with Blake Phillips, and the skipper, he runs over the top of Walsh, makes a couple of post-contact metres, and they're within 15 of halfway. Now Brodie Rigg, he's dangerous, one of the more dangerous ball-running hookers in the competition, almost up to halfway for the Dogs. 2-0 the score. We've had 6.5 minutes in this one, as now an offload away to Roberts. Roberts gets out of one. He steps on the inside, throws it straight back to the Butchers.
I don't know what Wayne Dargan was doing there in the middle of the park, but we saw it there, though. It's broken down there, Johnny, but that's how they play through the middle. Paulie Roberts, you don't want to give him too much structure. He likes to play up the top of his head. There's some early danger signs there, but they handle it well, the Butchers.
They're going to combine well today. Brodie Rigg out of acting half and Paulie Roberts sniffing around that ruck. I think it's something to watch later on throughout the game when the middle forwards get a little bit tired.
So Ruskin 32 metres out. The Butchers centre field in a bunch at the moment early in the set. Fletcher throws the dummy. He gets through Fletcher. He's now got support on the inside, and he goes to Jared.
What a try that is!
And Winnie scores the opening try of the major.
And there's got a bit of a stinking back play. You reckon this is a final, Johnny? What do you reckon there?
Oh, this is semi-final football at its best, isn't it?
Paulie Roberts involved in a stink. Now, there's something you don't see every year.
Shocking.
But there they are at the back. Brilliant work there from Ryan Fletcher. We talked about the way he does involve himself early. Johnny, it's what you want to see from halves. You want him to get tackled early. You want him to get some bruises early, get themselves into the game. Well, he really straightened up through the middle there and supporting there Jared Whitty up the middle. He grabs the first try, and a good one it is.
Well, the last attacking raid on the left-hand side, Fletcher, they went out the back twice. This time Fletcher backed his own ability, seen the little gap, pierced the hole through them, and he held that ball up so well to draw and pass Paulie Roberts. He held it up to the last fraction of a second, and Jared Whitty, following like all good number 13s, he'll score the first try of the day.
I like this one, though. Blake Phillips getting called out for the skip. Paulie Roberts saying, "What, who, me, sir?"
How many times do you reckon Buffer's gone out there to defend Paulie Roberts this season?
He's had to a little bit, hasn't he?
Well, put that down to the Paul Roberts era as well. It looked promising. He decided to cut back inside, but it looked like he had all his support out wide. Throws a wayward pass. He wasn't even looking where it was going. Dargan picks it up, and the Butchers, 3 plays later, they score.
We've put an indication of the space that was out wide. The guy who caught the pass on the inside was Wayne Dargan, the left centre. So that'll tell you how far infield the Butchers were and how outnumbered they were there. But the play doesn't come off, as can be the case, and the Butchers, they strike back quickly. Boy, they can hurt you. They can turn things around quick, can't they, Johnny?
Oh, they sure can. You can't give either one of these sides a sniff. We're going to see here today, every time there's an error or a breakdown in play, I think we're going to see points scored.
So Gallagher with the conversion. That's 82 points for the year for Luke Gallagher. And it is 6-2 to the Butchers.
Almost David Ferner-esque, Luke Gallagher, the goal-kicking back rower. You can't miss. I'll tell you what, I was the MC for the Corporate Fighter earlier this year in the Gladiator. He can throw a bit like David Ferner as well.
Ferner.
He's a pretty calm collected dude.
He can. And on reputation alone, you wouldn't touch him. You would not touch him.
Has the Gladiator got that reputation now?
I don't know, but I saw him in the ring that night, mate, and he threw him pretty handy, I've got to say.
Okay, so the Butchers now with their tails up, 6-2. Walsh out there to the man who just converted that try, Gallagher, who loses the football.
Well, there's the commentator's mock, if ever you've seen him. Coming in, just giving him a rap, and he spills the ball, and that's the coach killer, Johnny. That's a pet hate of Jared Costello, to not get through the set on the back of points. And they've come up short just there on that task.
It's a coach killer. It's a hate. Everyone doesn't like it, do they? You've got to complete that first set after points. You need to get to your kick and turn the other team around. It just gives Collegians now a chance to hit back on the scoreboard.
How good is this to see the in-goal judges? Look at them up there. You got one referee in the middle, the 2 in-goal judges and the touch judges. Todd Greenberg, take note.
Bring it back.
That's the way it's supposed to be. Don't have to watch that annoying pocket referee coming in back saying move 24/7. Gets rid of him. The one referee, Ryan Jackson, the best in the business in this league, taking control of this one early.
So the Dogs, let's get a look at them, and as they try and look to bounce back, they're down by 4. Now Wood, 28 metres out. Thompson standing at first receiver to the left. That's the way they go. He goes out the back to Boyle. He feeds it to Phillips, who shrugs away from one. He runs back to the centre, Blake Phillips. And the Dangerman, the captain for the Dogs. He's brought down 15 out. Quick play the ball. Brodie Rigg, he pins the ears back. He drives towards the line. There's 4 of them in there, and they hold him up. There's one tackle up the sleeve for the Dogs. They'll look to go right, you'd think. They've got the line set out that way. The little kick through from Boyle, but he didn't fool the defence, and a great slips catch.
Joel Johnson there, and there you go. That's one of the meeting of the big guns there, Johnny, because I think he was looking to sneak that in, Jared Boyle. 9 times out of 10 he gets that in the in goal, but Jono, he was awake to that one and he reels it in. David Warner like in the slips.
Yeah, it was good to see, wasn't it? Both players so influential for each one of their sides there. Boyley, yeah, you got it right there, Mitch. 9 times out of 10 he gets it in there. He does the right thing, but there Jono just plucking that one out of the sky.
Oh,
dodgy.
Dodge him, car.
And look, that was Jack Cross, and you can put that down to how a bit unsteady he is on his feet. I think he wasn't quite on balance. You can see it moving. He's getting through the job there, and he gives away the penalty as well. So, Luke Dodge. You got the 2 Lukes in the back row.
Dodge by the way they go about things. Nature, I tell you
indeed.
what.
You can't dodge the dodge. You cannot dodge the dodge.
Start of the year, we've seen Luke Dodge have the 3 and 4 on his back. He played a little bit of centre there.
Indeed he did.
With no Wayne Dargan to start the season. And Luke Dodge has been such a figure with that number 12 on his back for so many years for the Butchers, and usually the older you get, you swing into the middle a little bit more, but Dodgy found himself out on the fringes. But look, he's one of the better second rows in this competition. He's honest, isn't he, out there on the left?
Call that the reverse Ben Cray. Start in the back row and head out.
Button of the Illawarra League. So now with Sheridan, he's picked up and some big defence. Maybe a hit of a dangerous tackle, but it was okay, not quite above the horizontal.
Tomo hasn't got that in his game. Good shot there, though. There's a couple of experienced campaigners meeting in the middle there, Jared Thompson and Big Ciro.
Oh, finals football well and truly arrived. The intensity, it's lifted. Sheridan, Walsh, short ball Gallagher, and Gallagher's cut down at a good tackle by Blake Phillips. Who else would it be? Johnson short side. He goes back in. Johnson throwing dummies, looking for support. He gets towards the 10, and he's brought down on the last. The Butchers looking to extend the lead. The kick rolled into the end goal. Position play there from, I think it's their Ellis, who can't get back to the field of play, and that'll be a goal line dropout.
Great play there from Jared Whitty. He got into dummy half, and we don't typically see the kick in his game, Johnny, but we saw Jolie Johnson. He was doing his normal probing around the ruck there. He got dragged down on the last tackle, but no markers. Whitty awake to it, and he just put a nice little nudge on that in the repeat set.
Well, he's a handy number 9 himself, Jared Whitty. We've seen him over the last couple of seasons find a home there in number 9 in reserve grade and come off the bench and replace Jono. But with no Mick Morris, Jared Costello has had to use Jared Whitty at the 13 on his back.
Let's call him the Alan Tunga
this week. What about that one? Big hit coming in.
It was Josh Dowell, I think.
Josh Dowell, it was indeed.
Tell you what, they're trying to put a dent in the statue today, aren't they?
Absolutely. He keeps coming, though, the statue, as he sees the tip on there to Whitty. There's another one. That was Jared Thompson again. Really shortening the boys up.
Oh, lock on lock. Well, there was no saloon passage there for Jared Whitty. On that occasion, to Tower. He beats Manton. To Tower looking to burst through. This is where he's dangerous in broken field play. Johnson to the short side. Walsh sweeping. Puts it into the in goals. But it's going to go dead. That'll be 7 tackles for the Dogs.
I don't know if that was the last tackle either, Hammer. It's an interesting one there, Jake Walsh. He rarely gets it wrong in that scenario, but just overcooked that one, Johnny, and probably not at all the end of the set Jared Costello would have been looking for.
Nah, he'd be filthy too, Jake Walsh, about that kick. He's so finesse with his short kicking game there. He'll be blowing up deluxe about that effort, but yeah, it wasn't on the last. They probably could have had one more play at them and put more pressure on the Collegians' defensive line, but 7 tackle set. Let's see how far they march up the paddock.
And a real chance here at that. Oh, good tackle coming in. What a start we've had. 15 minutes gone and both sides going hell for leather. 6-2 in favour of the Butchers, as that's a nice offload. Brodie Riggs spots a gap and he makes another 15 metres, getting the Dogs on the front foot. They're in good field position now. Roberts to Boyle. Cut out ball to Manton. He looks to skip outside to Tower, who hangs on to the bootlaces only just. Another offload. Goes back to Boyle, but lost by Paul Roberts. Another error from this mercurial number 9.
It's an interesting one. There's some offloads out the back there. Jack Cross got the first one away, but it's the old rule they teach you, Johnny. If you're going to throw the offload, make sure it's to someone in a better position. It just seemed they were losing more and more ground with every pass there.
Yeah, they're looking to pop it out the back and get that second phase play, but it's just shutting down a little bit. The Butchers want to put more men in these tackles and try and wrap the ball up, because we know how dangerous Collegians can be when they can pull that second phase play off.
So Simpson now, he'll play the football as it goes back to the centre of the park for Whitty.
Tom Simpson running a man bun.
Oh, would not surprise me in the
I
slightest.
think he is.
Wingers,
That's
eh?
no
I think he's running a man bun and brand new bright orange boots out there for Tommy Simpson.
Bring it out for the finals.
He wanted to get on the Bar TV replays, didn't he?
So an extra effort there from Jack Cross on Luke Dodge, and another penalty to the Butchers, probably too far out to take a ping, and they'll probably fancy their chances of another try. We've had about 16 minutes gone in this first half of the major semi. The winner to go straight through to the grand final in a fortnight's time at Wynn Stadium. Looking forward to that one with all the boys. Now it's Dodge. 17 metres out. 6-2. The boys from the northern suburbs. Whitty to Walsh. Out the back to Tower. He's got room to move to Tower. He steps off the right, and Manton's there to make the tackle with Boyle, and a penalty.
It's an interesting one, and I think that's come from the touchy there. They're going to say the ball stripped out there, Jared Boyle. I don't think he's ever agreed with being penalised in his career, Jared Boyle, but he's protesting on that one as well. He's got Blake Phillips in his corner as well, Chief Defence Counsel, but the Butchers on the attack.
Gallagher submits pretty meekly to that tackle. That's tackle one for the Butchers as they go now to Ruskin, and Ruskin one-on-one with Rigg. It was a mismatch as far as size, but Rigg was up to the task. Only a metre out. They go back to Sirinen. Sirinen running onto the ball. Can he get it down? No.
Good defence there. Steamy onto that one with their head of steam was the statue, and they've done well there to hold him up. They read it pretty well there. A couple of experienced campaigners there in Boyle and Phillips.
It's a go-to play the Butchers have put on this season a few times. We've seen Mick Morris be the benefactor of that play in a few tries this season.
So Fletcher with the cutout, and Dargan, well, he couldn't get the fend working that time. It was a good tackle from Ona. And also under the rib cage there on the wing, Fletcher winning as they go back towards Ruskin. And geez, these two statues are really working overtime in the first quarter of this game. As they go to Johnson. Johnson loses the ball, does he?
Might have been Joel Ruskin just to sloppy play the ball there.
So they're coming back for the play. I thought it looked like Jono had just thrown the ball forward on purpose. I didn't know what had gone on there. But yeah, like you said, Johnny, I think Joel Ruskin a bit of an error in the play the ball there. And that's twice now they haven't quite polished off the end of their sets down here in prime field position, Johnny. Jared Costello, frustration will be building.
Yeah, he likes things perfect, doesn't he? Coach Costello there and the Butchers just letting themselves down a couple of times, attacking the Collegians line. A lot of football's been played in Collegians half so far in the opening 19 minutes of this half.
Great crowd in. May not look it on the coverage with that eastern side of the field, basically a ghost town, but I can tell you there's a lot in the stands here. A lot of Thirroul fans have come down the M1, and certainly plenty of Dogs fans as well.
Look at old mate behind the fence over there. That's got to be the tightest fan in the history of the world. He's standing over there behind two fences. Someone spot him $7, please.
It's Josh Dow now, 19 metres from that halfway mark as the Dogs try and get out of trouble. They've been under siege. Gifting penalties is now Saxon Owner, bouncing out of tackles, and he runs into the wrong man. Well, he was picked up and dumped by Sheridan above the horizontal, and they want to carry on with it, the boys. Plenty of feeling.
Guess who?
I think it's Joel Johnson that they've got there now. He's getting tied up there by Blake Phillips. I think he's just taking the piss there, Buffer.
There we got Jono got absolutely flung to the ground there by Paulie Roberts, who was not too keen on the tackle.
Now, I certainly think that last effort, I think it was Sirinen coming in with that spear motion, tipped it over the edge, pardon the pun, but that's not what the Butchers needed, because they were doing a pretty good job of containing the Dogs down this southern end of the field.
Dangerous tackle going on report.
Dangerous tackle going on report.
Very similar.
Interesting one to think about, Johnny. Of course, we've got the winner of this one won't play again before the grand final.
I don't need you.
So any judiciary matters become very, very important. I'll tell you what, covering this league the last couple of years, I can't remember a grand final did have some sort of judiciary drama or other drama. It was Blake Wallace with Dapto a couple of years ago. The eligibility, Grant Smith cited the week before Helensburgh's triumph. So they're always just kind of set me on a spin. I think the boys conspire to make my grand final week a bit of a headache.
They're just keeping you in the loop, mate. They're just putting a little bit on for you.
Well, my headache's nothing compared to Rex. Mate, Rex, he's running around here. He's got the earphones in too. Ground zero. He's in the control room.
He thinks he's security to Guns N' Roses concert or something, doesn't he?
Adding a bit of spice to the league section of the Illawarra Mercury indeed, as now the Dogs on attack with Phillips. Standing in the tackle 11 metres out, 20 gone, 6-2 Thirroul. the Dogs with Boyle. Boyle goes out the back. He finds Roberts. Roberts, he'll get that down, will he? No, just short. The defence at the 11th hour saves the day. Well, Manton, it was a tangle in there. He'll get a penalty. He probably milked it, but...
No, I think Joel Ruskin jumped straight on there, Johnny. I think he might have just taken a bit of a head start. You have to in that scenario. I think they'll back themselves to defend a full set rather than give someone like Manton a chance from dummy half.
So they find touch. It always fascinates me how they decide to kick for touch from that position, but nevertheless, Boyle.
It's training, Johnny. It's training. That's what they do in the captain's run. They don't know what to do otherwise.
So Thompson plays it 2 metres out. Rigg looks out to his right. He then looks to his left where he's got Boyle, but he goes to Cross. Cross goes wide, and now they've worked it to Roberts.
Good tackle, Wayne Dargan.
Wasn't it? It was a try saver. No dummy half there. Eventually there is. And Owner almost ghosting through the Butchers' defence.
Have to watch Rigg from here.
Wide ball. Boyles plucks it out of the air, and the 15 on there. Well, it's gone to ground. It's there for Walsh. Walsh looking round. It's a sea of red and black around him, so he takes the tackle.
We're just seeing there, Johnny, we've spoken about it. Some of the youth in this Collegian side, we had a question mark over how they'd handle that occasion. That was a rookie final play, that one there from, I think it's Spencer, come onto the park.
Yeah, it was
James pass Spencer. Out the back, it's not what you need in finals. You want to keep the pressure on and really keep that foot on the throat. That's an easy release of the pressure gauge there. It's probably the question mark we had coming in.
Yeah, it was the one we spoke about it. You brought it up, Mitch, about this young crop of Collegians players standing up on semi-final day. And we've just seen there James Spencer just trying to flick it out through his backside there, and he's come up with the error. There we go, one-on-one there, but a shoulder charge. So that's 2 in a row Spencer's given away.
And Jared Thompson, I think it was, coming up, flying out of the line.
In fact, I think it was Spencer.
It was Spencer.
And it was on Jared Whitty.
He's tried to make up for himself there, Spence, trying to make up for the error, and he's just...
The good old-fashioned no-arms tackle. So, the Butchers...
I think that was your mate over the fence getting the ball, Mitch.
Mate, can someone get...
Souvenir. He's taking a souvenir.
It's the saddest piece of rugby league fandom I've ever seen. Can someone run him a beer or something? Get Rex over there.
Now Ruskin. 15 out for the Butchers, and some with the post-contact meters. The blue and whites up by 4. Johnson scheming, goes to Walsh, out the back to Higgins. Higgins goes across field. He gets out of one tackle, but they rope him to ground. Only a metre out. They were going slightly sideways. They now go back to the left to Tower. A good ball there to Walsh, and now he finds Sheridan. And Sheridan, of course, under hot water. He's on report. He'll be looking to make amends. Johnson going himself, throwing the dummy. Johnson, we're seeing him score so many times from this position, but the ball goes loose. The Dogs come up with it.
Tried a little bit too hard to get that one down there, Jono, by the looks of things. It was Jared Thompson again, and are we just seeing, Johnny, the big experienced men, the important guys from each side? They're just on each other. They know. It's like they're looking across the other side of the ring against the other heavyweights. They know what's coming, and they're not giving each other an inch.
No, they're not giving each other an inch here. Joel Johnson there just tried to overstretch a little bit too much to get the 4-pointer, and he's come up with that little bit of an error. Collegians getting the ball back in the field of play, and now the Butchers giving away a penalty, and it's a good touch finder. They're on the halfway line, the Collegians Collie Dogs.
It was a fair heave, wasn't it? He's pinched plenty of metres there, Jared Boyle.
Yeah, relieving touch finder indeed for Collies. So Thompson runs at Johnson. He gets some help, and they bring him to ground. A 3-man tackle, 35 metres out, centre of the park, northern end of Collegians. And now they go out there to Phillips, and Phillips goes back in behind the ruck. He makes an extra 10 metres. 16 minutes left in the first half as the Dogs look for their first try of the afternoon. Tip on at the line there. That was good work from Thompson. He finds, I think it was Dowell out there. 12 metres out. 15 minutes, 55 left until the half-time break. Roberts, who's playing out there predominantly on that right edge now. He loses.
One-on-one, Wayne Dargan. What a strip there. What a play from the Butchers centre.
And Paul Roberts, that's his probably, by my count, 3rd error of the game. Geez, he's rocks or diamonds, and there's a few pebbles I'm seeing at the moment. So the Butchers work it back out again. Got control of this game at the moment, 6-2. The 17 on Cooper Purcell.
Jack Noble just come on the park as well, Hammer.
An interesting... can't wait for Aaron Shop to get out there, who
That's
obviously...
a good kick from Walsh.
Signed with the Bulldogs, Canterbury Bulldogs, during the week. As now a nice little step. He left.
Here comes some diamonds, Hammer.
He was due. Mind you, it was a pretty ordinary kick chase from the Butchers.
You're right, Hammer. It was a kick from inside the 40 and a pretty good one from Welsh. He was probably looking for that 40-20. Didn't get the bounce he was after, but a bit lax on the chase. You were right, Hammer.
There's Wayne Dargan getting one back on Saxonona, coming out of the line.
What a battle now. Here's the other centre, Brad Manton now, up over halfway. And I hate to harp on it, but, that kick, it goes to show that saying, you kick's only as good as you chase. They should have been pinned down there in that half. All of a sudden, the Dogs are on attack. Boyle, he thought about the kick. He eventually does. He gives it some altitude. There's the Bermuda Triangle there of Thirroul players. None of them wanted it, but they come up with the bounce and get out of jail.
Offside is the suggestion, the polite suggestion, Hammer, from some of the Butchers fans up here. That was a strange one. Jared Boyle, he was always going to be the kicker, but he sort of isolated himself on this short side, Johnny, and had to go back the other way to put the kick up. So not often you see his positional sense off, but it was a little bit there.
You see him go the short side a lot when he's going to run the ball. So maybe he had in his mind to go again and run and try and force something down this short side. We know how good he is down the short side, and they love playing the short side, Collegians.
Luke Dodge bumping away from Dowell. Big run by Dodge. Well, from defence straight to attack here. A couple up the sleeve, but Walsh goes the kick. But he's picked out Fletcher Whitting. He has no dramas gobbling that up.
Don't know about that kick either, Hammer. It was practice. It was almost like when they lobbed the field to the outfielders there in the cricket warm-up there. It went straight down Fletcher Whitting's throat and he pinched a couple of metres. Not the best kick he would have been looking for, Johnny.
No, Jake White, a little bit off at the moment, isn't he, with his kicking job? Must have done kicking practice with Ty McCarthy or something during the week.
He could have been. Teammate could be taking credit either way, wouldn't he?
So Phillips plays it. Rigg sees the markers a little bit lazy and makes easy metres. He's up into the Thirroul half now, 40 out. They go right with Cross, and Cross goes out there to Oda.
Oh, geez, it looked forward, Hammer.
It's going to be play on for winning, though. It certainly was a questionable pass, and they get a penalty at the end of it. Maybe backwards out of the hands, maybe floating forward.
Yeah, it's a 50-50 one. I'd give the touchies and Ryan Jackson benefit of the doubt on that one, Hammer. It's funny to bring up T-Mac there, Johnny Pett. I'll tell you, last year, I've never seen a better front rowers try in a grand final.
Sensational.
It was crucial.
Sensational.
You'll never see a front rower score a more important try than that one.
It's been a long time since we've seen a Thirroul first grade side without Aaron Beath or Ty McCarthy.
Indeed, it is. In a lot of ways, a changing of an era, but in a lot of ways as well, the return and some redemption being chased by a lot of people in this lineup.
So the minor premiers, they do have that 4-point lead. Dow trying to eat into that. Strong charge towards the line. Boyle flat to Phillips. Phillips dummies and then cuts back towards the inside. Cries of,
ooh, this isn't good.
That didn't look good at all.
It wasn't intentional. It's just he's been flexed over there.
I hope he's all right.
The skipper.
We see it a little bit with Blake Phillips because he does have such a knack of being low in his hips and breaking out of tackles and throwing defenders off. Sometimes he's inevitably going to get caught in a bit of an awkward position, and he did just there. Hopefully he's all right, the skipper, as we see a bit of a brief cardiac event go through the Collegians bench there for Nathan Thiem. Hopefully he's all right.
Not only the bench, I think the whole Collegians crowd here.
Oh, yeah. Well, I think if you were to pinpoint two players in that pack that you could ill afford to lose, it would be Blake Phillips and Jared Thompson.
Indeed, you wouldn't want to lose either, and I think he's all right there. It's just an awkward one. You just cry out as soon as anything like that happens, but it looks like he's okay. Well, you can't tell with Buffer. He's a bit too tough for his own good. He might have an ACL or something, and he's still walking around.
He's a tough hombre, and it looks like he wants to stay on the field. Why wouldn't you? 6-2, the major semi. It's been a bruising start to this one. 11 minutes still left in this first half. The Dogs, well, he must have lost it in that tackle, Phillips.
You need to dead set to get him off the park in a major semi-final. You need to cuff him and walk him off. We need some of the undercover detectives to come out here and just march him for the park. It's the only way you'll get him off.
We've got a job for old mate over there. Well, where's he gone?
He might have paid the money.
God.
Maybe Rex has been listening and he's gone over there and got him a VIP pass. Maybe get him on the call. Let's get him a microphone and just see, because he's gone to great lengths just to see some of the major semi-final action over there.
He's jumped the fence. What an interchange for the Butchers. Siren and off, and on comes Henderson.
Yeah, what a pick-up he's been over the back half of this year.
So Simpson plays it, and it'll be Michael Henderson, the old warhorse, in Thirroul colours this year after leading Dapto so admirably for a number of seasons.
He's a return to Butcher's colours for Hendo.
Now Fletcher. 6-2 to Thirroul. 10.5 until half-time. Now to Dodge. He had Henderson there if he wanted him, but he took the tackle. They get to the last. They get to the kick, do they? Walsh. He goes high. A spiralling kick. This will test Roberts. He takes it on a bubble. He gets away from one tackle, two tackles, and gets up to the 30.
And a better kick there, Johnny, from Jake Walsh. It was, in the end, well, a bit of a bobble there from Paulie Roberts and a good return, but at least making the back three have to work for it and do something to reel that one in.
Yeah, nice kick from Walsh. We know how good his kicking game is. It's been instrumental, not just this season, but the last season as well for the Butchers. But that one, a nice spiralling bomb there, putting pressure on Roberts, and a nice take there by the custodian.
So rumbling forward with Thompson. And Thompson runs at Gallagher, and Johnson comes in and helps out. And they bring him to ground eventually, 38 out. Rigg waiting at dummy half. They go open to cross.
That was forward.
That was forward for your life.
Oh,
Well, that one wasn't 50-50.
Well, the touchies were asleep at the wheel on that occasion.
We've seen the boot go flying. That's not in Luke Dodge's game normally, is it, Johnny?
No.
So Boyle goes high. Well, this is definitely the tactic today to give the wingers a chance. Well,
That's a penalty, I think. Jake Walsh is offside.
Certainly is.
Has to be.
Great call. Great call from Mitch Jennings, and it was picked up by Ryan Fletcher.
What's Jai Ellis doing there with
him and Walshy.
with Walshy?
Exchanging some pleasantries.
Walshy would just be saying, young fella, have a bit of respect here.
Now it's the Gladiator and a few others get mixing it up. I told you could throw them all right.
I'd like to get even money. Paul Roberts is in there.
Still going back there, it's the 17. Jake Fitzgerald, he's going in there trying to make his presence felt.
Well, what about the feeling in this one? Handbags at 10 paces, but geez, it's got that real feel as if it could bubble and brew and really escalate at some point today.
It was a very, very good kick. It was beautifully placed for where it ended up. There, Crosland trying to reel that one in. He's all sorts of pressure. He's pretty good under the high ball, but that one was always going to be tough to take with the pressure bearing down on him. And
so we'll
just listen in.
to the referees.
Two captains. You guys are fine. Two captains. Tommy, be smart there. You ran a distance there, mate. You can get in trouble doing that, okay? No one's throwing any punches. That's just all push and shove. It's just all rubbish. We don't need it. We've got 10 minutes to go. We don't want someone sitting on the sideline. It's going to ruin the game. Okay, so just play football.
The good old-fashioned, come on, boys.
Yeah. 10 to go. Let's play rugby league.
Let's play some footy.
bigger story, I was just talking about how hard it'd be to get Blake Phillips off the park.
He's off.
But he's actually come off. So those undercover detectives must have come on and cuffed him and brought him from the park, because we saw Jared Thompson called out as skipper there, and Blake Phillips off the park. That's something to watch with interest.
There's one man we won't see off the paddock today, Dowell.
Josh Dowell. He hates it, doesn't he?
So Boyle throwing the dummy, going back there in the 17 to Fitzgerald. On the park there, of course, with Blake Phillips out. A real test now for the Dogs, but they've got a golden opportunity. Rigg, he goes across there and they're claiming a try.
What a tackle. Luke Gallagher, a sense of where the footy was, dragged him down just short.
They're short here.
Roberts throws the dummy. Roberts scores. Well, there you go. We've seen a bit of rock, but there's your diamond, and it's 6-all kick to come.
Here come the diamonds there, Paulie Roberts. It was a brilliant tackle there from Luke Gallagher under the post to drag down Josh Dowell, just short, but he knew he had to stuck there, and he was stuck at dummy half, and I think we saw it play there too, Johnny. Last time these two sides met, Brodie Rigg 2 tries from dummy half from close range. I think Luke Gallagher was well aware of that, and he wasn't willing to leave any space there around the ruck. They were short on this side. Jake Walsh went up to try and shut it down and go up on the outside, but 1-on-1 Paulie Roberts, he can go off both feet. Tough to stop in broken field like that.
Well, you tend to feel that with Rigg going acting half there so close to the line, the Butchers really cramped up in front of him, knowing in the past of how much destruction he has caused close to the line there, and it left them short out wide there. And then they just had the numbers out wide there. Paulie Roberts just turning it on a dime there, stepping so well, crosses a try. Does the Anthony Mundine flip once he puts the ball down? But there we go. We've said he's had a bit of a shaky start to the game. Well, that's the one to level up the score here, and it's just what Collegians needed just before half-time.
He's always good for an error or a penalty, but you'd rather have him in your side than not have him.
Yep.
That's for sure, Paul Roberts.
I say it often, every time he gets near the footy, both coaches hold their breath.
Yep.
20 metres in from this western touchline. Fletcher winning. He's winning with the boot at the moment. It's 8-6.
And doesn't that 2 points they snuck early, Johnny, start to look important now? It's been pretty evenly poised. Thirroul probably most of the early field position. It's swung back towards Collegians in this last 10 minutes or so. Both sides, they have picked up points from their field position. It's pretty level, but so early in that one to just pinch the gimme 2 points. It's a factor now as we close in on half time.
Yeah, sure. It's that buffer, isn't it? It's the buffer they've got now. So they've got to rely. Butchers have got to rely on Collegians missing a goal now as they put a 4-pointer down. And the Butchers, they've got to climb back here and really turn around and try and jam Collegians in their own area.
So Fitzgerald with a full head of steam runs back, and that'll give them a big confidence boost, scoring points without Blake Phillips. But how will they go rolling and rumbling up the field as the Butchers muscle up?
Well, they need to complete Hammer. As Butchers couldn't manage it on their their only try this half. So important when they get to the end of this and get a good kick on the end of it.
So Spencer now plays the football. Rig goes short side and he feeds Boyle, who runs at the line. That's what you like to see if you're a Dogs fan. Jared Boyle asking questions of the defence as they go back open with Thompson, and Thompson's greeted by a brick wall. Henderson in there leading the charge. Back to the boot of Boyle. Well, they've had success going to the air. They go to Tess Higgins. Oh. Well, it just died on him, and he loses the ball. And with 5.5 minutes left, they could go back to back here.
Yeah, that was a nightmare, the one that came off the boot, the spiral. It's not something we see the kickers do a lot. A lot of them try to emulate the Cooper Cronk and just hit the middle of the ball and have it sort of floating through the air. But that was the good old-fashioned torpor. It was spinning through, and, well, Blake Higgins, we talked about it often, Johnny. He's a makeshift fullback. Well, more than a makeshift, but he's been a converted fullback. He's probably the better term this year. But, boy, for even your most seasoned fullback you'll ever have in the league, that was a tough one to read.
Yeah, it was a tough one there. No matter who has got the one on their jumper, when you're taking a bomb from there on the other side from Boyle there, you know you're in some froth and bubble there. Boys, Jack Cross hasn't really been much involved today, has he? We've only seen him take the line on once.
Well, here's Roberts again. And he had Manton waiting, and he looked for the quick play the ball and earns his side a penalty. Well, you'd have to think they go again.
Already got that 2-point buffer. Hammer will be staggered, and they have tapped and gone.
So they do go and play on at Spencer, throwing out the big don't argue. They've got numbers to the right. The Butchers are stretched. They finally get numbers there with the slow play the ball. And now it goes to Rig, and Rig, he looked to his right, he went to his left, and he tried to crash over. And now it'll be Dowland acting half. And that's terrible service to Boyle. He does well. He throws an ordinary pass, but they make it work. And they'll be tackled just 2 metres out. Again. Rig!
What a
ball! Brilliant! Fitzgerald on the park. Scores a try. That really changes the complexion of this game.
I tell you what, all these guys didn't come on you. Spencer, obviously, he had a mixed bag early on, but Spencer, Hicks, Fitzgerald, all the defensive work the Dogs had to do early in this one down their own end. They can see just the one try, and when Nathan Feen has gone to his youthful bench, they've really come on and lifted Collies, Johnny.
Yeah, they sure have. You look at both benches and you'd give advantage to the Butchers on paper, but this bench of Collegians have been enormous coming on for Nathan Feen's men, and what a ball there from Brodie Rig. We know how dangerous he is ducking out of acting half, but what a pill to put it on the chest of Fitzgerald, and we're going to see a 6.4 and 2 points here. They're going to go out to 14 points to 6.
We are seeing it at play. We touched on the last try, Johnny, that Brodie Rig, how dangerous he is from close range with the ball tucking under his arm and going, and we've seen, I think, in both the 2 tries Collies have scored, we've seen that in the back of the Butcher's mind, because as we said, he scored a double last time from close range. I know Jared Costello wasn't going to let that happen this week. We said the back of that dugout was in jeopardy if it did. And we're seeing that at work there.
Yeah, it sure did there.
So Fletcher winning. He's had a dream day with the boot, all basically either in front or to the side of the post. This for 3 from 3, and all importantly, an 8-point lead. He moves in, he strikes it, and makes no mistake. So, well, the Thirroul Butchers, it looked like they were maybe going to go in the sheds with a lead, but they're going to go in with an 8-point deficit.
It's that window, isn't it, Johnny? We talk about so often with Nathan Feen, Coach Size, the 10 minutes before half-time and the 10 minutes after. It's so often where they take games away from their opposition.
They've done it right here, haven't they? This last 10 minutes has just swung right to the Collegians' favour. The Butchers are a little bit shell-shocked.
For mine, they've played straighter. Butchers, when they had their chances down here, it was all that little bit sideways, other than when Ryan Fletcher really straightened up and went straight and went back into the backfield.
Oh,
Other than that,
the try
Noble.
scorer gets absolutely level.
interrupting, as I said, but I think that'll be the message from Jared Costello at half-time when they've got the ball in hand, just to straighten things up and not go so sideways.
So now again, Fitzgerald, he's hungry. He wants more. Even after coming back down to earth after that try with a thud. Thompson now. As Collegians, as Johnny Pett said, go the direct route. It's worked for them in the past 10-15 minutes. They've taken control of this one. Dowell, what a shift he's had in this first half. Up over halfway. They shift back to the left. Boyle this time looking for the corner. I think he might have overcooked this. He has. Chance for the Butchers.
That's cannoned into the back fence. That's a bad one from Boyle.
Do you think it's a bad one, or do you think he's just done that to soak up a little bit more time? I'd have gone for the sideline.
I don't think he's done that on purpose at all, Johnny. I think he's just overcooked that.
I think he was looking for touch.
Yeah.
But it was just poor execution.
Far too clever a player to deliberately put it in the back fence, I think.
So it's now on the Butchers. What can they do? After being gifted a 7-tackle set, they haven't made too many metres in the opening couple of tackles. They'll only just get through this set with 50, well, even 45 seconds, call it, left on the clock until half-time. So Walsh shows it to his inside. He goes out to Fletcher. He goes straight to the line. It gives plenty of room to Higgins. He goes on to Dargan. Dargan, ball and all tackle. What a tackle it was from Winning. So now they shift back to the right. Dodge with it. Winning again. And in the 16 there, it's Hicks on the field for the Dogs.
Johnson will go blind here.
And that's
yeah,
what he
clever.
does. Fletcher,
Very clever.
cut out ball, back inside to Dargan, and Dargan's brought down, despairing tackle. Last play of the first half. The Butchers down by 8. Johnson tries to fool them, throws it back on the inside.
Well, this is shades of their last game. The try of the century. It's almost identical blade of grass as last time.
Gallagher to Tower. He gives it to Crossland. He goes out. He goes out. No try. Well, it would have been the try of the century. 2.0. But instead, it's Collegians going into half-time with a 14-6 lead.
What about Jake Walsh there, just telling the touchy mate? The white stripe hasn't been touched, his foot was in.
I think he's done his best there, Hayden Crosland. He had 4 defenders bearing down on him. I think if he'd gone the aerial route, he knew he was going to be bumped as soon as he went into the air, so he tried to stay nice and low. He did well, Crossover, but couldn't quite get there. But that's just a little reminder for Collegians. They felt they were right on top in that one, but I could see her on the other side. Joel Johnson was bound to go blindside. Jack Cross on his own on that bung ankle on the blind side. He was always going to go there and almost caught them out, and they almost got the leveller, but 14-6, it's a big margin, Johnny, and what's been pretty evenly poised.
It probably deserved a 2-point game at half-time, the way these two teams have gone at it together, but Collegians, they're going to go into the sheds 8 points in front. They've been a better side the last 15 minutes of that first half.
Indeed, they have. Well, that is the score through 40 minutes, 14-6 in favour of the home side. Collegians, this is going to be a hell of a second 40 minutes. As we said, these games, they inevitably go down to the wire. I expect this one to do the same. We'll be back with the second 40 minutes in just a little while. Welcome back to Collegians Sports Centre, the home side making their way back onto the park, joined by the Butchers. 14-6 to the good, the Dogs, and boy, they finished that opening 40 minutes strong as we see the kids at the back just clearing the field as well, Johnny, but a bit of a scare. They survived right on half-time, but they certainly went in with their tails up, the Collie Dogs.
Yeah, they sure did. Nathan Fiend's men, they come home in that second half with a bit of a wet sail there, but they fell asleep that last minute on the Butchers. It just goes to show that you can't rest on either one of these sides throughout any second of this game. And boys, went and had a couple of chat to a few people around the crowd. They're all rapping Jared Ball's kicking game at the moment.
Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me at all, except for that last one that cannoned into the back fence. But other than that, that's been big. You see the crowd just getting up. They're going to try to get their respective sides home, but I actually don't think the fact that they didn't get across, Nathan Fee might have even been a bit pleased to see that at the end, and they managed to dodge that last bullet, but it was just enough of a reminder to go straight in and go, boys, look, we went to sleep there for just a second. They almost hurt us, and that's just that little reminder right on the break.
Who do you reckon will be the happier coach there at half-time about their team's efforts?
Well, I think Nathan Fee certainly, because they're obviously 8 points in front, but I think it'd be pretty simple instructions from Jared Costello as well. They just need to get their act together, complete some sets, and just get straighter with what they're doing in the footy. Let Joel Johnson come into the game through the middle, and just when they do shift, just straighten up that little bit.
So there was a nervous moment for Roberts off the kickoff. He almost misjudged it. It was good purchase off the boot from Gallagher, but nevertheless the Dogs, they're on the attack. It's going to be interesting to see how they decide to play this one in the second half with that 8-point lead. By no means can they shut up shop against a side of the calibre of the Butchers. Now Thompson, 15 short of halfway. Fletcher, who was one of the try scorers deep into that first half, he plays it. Still no sign of Phillips as that kick goes rolling down. Eventually it goes there to Simpson. Well, Higgins, he got an unfavourable bounce and he left it to his winger.
Tommy Simpson, he stepped past Jared Boyle 3 times there. Went one way back the other, and then Boyle eventually made the tackle. But, gee, some nervous moments when you got a bouncing ball around there. And you sort of want your fullback to reel those in regardless, don't you, Johnny?
Yeah, you sure do there. A little bit of nervous there. Higgins, he put that one down earlier in the first half there from that Boyle bomb there. But Tommy Simpson there, has he got a bit of shades of Sean's Nickel Clockstad there or what?
Kind of what he's doing. You mentioned it, Johnny.
Well, funny you mentioned that. I saw on the Raiders website during the week, Chance has actually cut his hair.
Has he? Oh.
There you go. So he's carrying on the torch there for Chance as he goes the fresh cut. But back to the footy here at Collegians, and the Butchers now with the ball. They've got a couple of tackles still up the sleeve. Walsh looks to his outside and decides to kick, and he's found some open real estate as well.
That's a good kick.
Roberts is going to have some work to do to get back, and of course he does it. But
that has to be a try.
No, the touch judge is waving the flag.
He's gone out. He's gone out.
With the ball back in field trying to ground it.
So it looks
like a good thing it went up first. He looks like he's hurt himself as well in doing that. Paul Roberts. Great. Got to give a huge rap there to Hayden Crosland, Johnny. The kick was perfect, but he was a bit of a lone ranger on the chase there, Crosland in behind, but did just enough from Paulie Roberts. Well, I don't know if he just spilt the ball or he was trying to ground it back in, but it was almost the easiest try Gallop to Tower has ever scored, but the flag goes up first.
Well, another kick there, and probably not a solid effort on the kick chase from the Butchers. We've seen it in the first half there that their chase wasn't that good off one of the kicks, and we've seen it again there. But Paulie Roberts in all sorts over there, and wouldn't that throw a bit of a mix into this if Paulie Roberts couldn't continue?
Well, he's usually a utility. He's usually your Mr. Fix-It, so if he goes down, it'd be interesting. I imagine Jai Ellis would be the one that'd go back to fullback if he can't continue, and it looks like he's in all sorts. I'll be surprised if he does.
Well, boys, we mentioned the kick chase.
Well, Tilly's obviously there as well.
Yep.
But we mentioned the kick chase or lack thereof. If it wasn't for Crosland there, I go as far to say Roberts could have gone 100. So, I mean, that's a massive play by the Butchers winger. And, if Roberts can't play, that's big. If Phillips doesn't return, if Roberts can't go on, this will be backs against the wall for the Dogs.
It's even a bigger loss for mine, as much as, I'm a huge Blake Phillips fan, as Johnny would be well aware, but you've got 3 and 4 blokes who can lift to fill that gap, and that was a big part of the first half. Such a good thing for Nathan Fee to be able to lean on, despite all the pressure they absorbed early on, to have the engine of Josh Dow and Jared Thompson in the middle. It still freed him up to use his interchange with some injection of some youth and some energy that he got from his young guys there. So I think if Blake Phillips did have to come off, it was almost a bit of a silver lining there in what we saw. And Well, it looks like Paulie Roberts might have made a miraculous recovery here.
Yeah, it's a good sign. Hopefully it's just a little bit of a sprain for Paul Roberts.
Hopefully he can run this out there because he looks a little bit lame, limping back.
Well, just tougher to replace. He was obviously named at 9 to play there, and Alec Reid the late withdrawal, so he's gone back there to a position he's well adept, but if he can't continue, it starts to really drain the reserves of Nathan Feen on the bench as Boyle puts this one nice and high.
Yeah, and it just sits up for Fletcher, who almost made a meal of it, but recovered as Henderson, running like a fresh 20-year-old front rower.
That's the old Hendo there, wasn't it? Steaming onto that one.
And now it is Noble with the ball. 19 metres out for the Butchers. They trail by 8, but they'll be determined to bounce back. Dargan almost with a gap. Thompson tries to take his head off.
Looks at a bit of strife, Dargan too. It looks like Tomo going, sorry mate. No dirt in Jared Thompson's game at all. He's the world's nicest beard, so he's certainly no malice in that one. It looks like Wayne Dargan's okay. But I can't imagine it is an interesting call. Beto there, he's got the tee, but I'll be surprised if with the 8-point margin they took the two
Too early, isn't it?
They're going to tap and go.
And it'll be Henderson playing yet another finals game. Played plenty of those for Dapto. Short ball. Johnson had his runner there. Purcell still refusing to go down. Eventually he does.
Purcell, I think he just mistimed his run a little bit there. Joel Johnson held the pass up. I think he just got that little bit too eager, Purcell, and just had to check his run a little bit and lose some momentum. They were good enough to reel him in.
So now Walsh to Tower, running that inside line. Fletcher now standing still. He was the architect of the first try of the game, looking to spark something for the Butchers. Another penalty.
I think a bit of work on the face. Call there. I think Paulie Roberts, they're going to say a bit of a working over on the deck there, I think.
And that was, I think, the fend of the year there on Paul Roberts. A bit of collateral damage almost there with the referee.
Boys, Butchers need to score here. They've had a couple of sets now at Collegians. It'll give they hold Butchers out here, Collies. What a confidence boost this will be for the team that's playing here with the Collegian strip.
So Purcell goes to Fletcher. He goes short to Dodge, and Dodge is brought down in a two-man tackle out here on the western side of the field. They go back to the east, and it's Fletcher on there to Purcell. Purcell looking to bump his way over, but Thompson has his measure. They're 5 metres out. They're wanting a try. They're desperately needing a try. Now it's Walsh. Back to Tower. Tower goes towards the post. And again, a similar line to what he ran just a couple of minutes ago. They read it well, the Dogs, and he wanted to go again to Tower, and the referee was having none of it.
I really like this, though, Hammer. We talked about him being a little bit too sideways. We've already seen now to Tower twice back against the grade, and Wayne Dargan on this side as well. I like that change of tact.
So Higgins now, he tries to straighten, but he runs into a brick wall of Dogs defenders that were waiting.
Short side.
They go open instead. Walsh then shifts back to the short side. He's got Dargan, who's trying to get up there, but a big take from Wedding. He stays in the field of play momentarily, but the defence comes across, and the Butchers will get another set.
Well, he did well there, Fletcher Winning. He got up above the pack and reeled that one in. A bit of up there Gazali type action, but he really came down in a vulnerable spot. Would have been a miracle if he'd stayed in the field of play there. Good kick from Jake Walsh. Josh Dow, the big front rower. Great job getting up off the line, Johnny, to put some pressure on. He forced him back to the short side, but Walsh good enough to put a perfect kick on the end of it.
You could see they wanted to go the short side there because Joel Johnson didn't go to acting half and he went to the short side there. Walsh went on the other side of the ruck there, but good pressure there from Dow, as you said, Mitch. Really up in the grill on Walshy, shutting that down. But that kicking game of Walshy's, that's why it's so good, those pinpoint kicks like that one we just seen.
And you've got to love, Johnny, like we said, the way they're going back. Callum Tower and Wayne Dargan, they're so dangerous back through the middle. Same with as is Higgins. So we're seeing a bit of a change up in the way they're using the footy, and that's probably a good one. I see Tower goes to the outside, but I like that. I think they can get some joy doing that.
So Manton makes the tackle onto Tower, who had a bit of room. He was given some early ball, but couldn't make the most of it. And now it's Gallagher, 10 metres out. The Butchers still searching for that reply. Noble, he ran an inside line, but instead it goes to Fletcher. Higgins, he's got room, he's got motor, he goes to Dargan, and it was a tackle from Owner for the ages. He makes it a metre out, and now it's acting half Fletcher. Dogs up quickly. Henderson inside ball. He offloads away to Dodge. Dodge then tries to offload to Dargan, but he holds onto the ball. still on here for the Butchers as now Fletcher looks to try and catch the markers sleeping at the wheel.
Well, he's a dummy half, Hammer. At home is his position. We've seen him play levels above this. At hooker, he's been a great 5'8", but that's his bread and butter, a throwback to his days in the 9.
So Dargan going back to Johnson, standing at first receiver and falling on it at the Dogs. So great defence from the Dogs. They had to repel a lot of pressure.
Well, Saxon owner on this side, he's just had Wayne Dargan's measure there. Dargan, he's been very dangerous at times, but he's just been all over him there, and a good little play just taking the deflection off Johnson, and a bit of a sign of frustration. It's a bit of a trick shot. To the grubber for yourself, you try to get behind the line, it's a bit of a trick shot. It's not a high percentage play, and you can probably put down the frustration that Collegians have managed to instill in this Butchers side with their good online defence.
Especially with Jake Walsh, 2 passes off the ruck there. I really thought Johnson was going to give it to Walsh and they'd go to the open side a little bit more there, but the defensive line, the line spread from Collegians there, coming up and shutting down Johnson. Johnson had to try something there and it didn't come off.
And that crucial period, 10 minutes after half-time, that Mitch Jennings speaks so often about Nathan Fiend's sides, as Simpson now getting the ball, and he'll play 28 out.
As we did say, though, Hammer, their tone setter in those periods just after half-time, Blake Phillips, the skipper, he's the guy who really lifts them the 10 minutes before and the 10 minutes after half-time. That is his time. He's not there, so they're going to have to look elsewhere to get that this afternoon.
Now Gallagher, he'll play at 9 short of halfway. The Butchers trailing by 8. 8.5 minutes gone in the second half of this major semi. The winner goes straight through to the grand final. Henderson with the ball. And of course the loser gets a second bite against West. And you want to try and avoid that if you can. Johnson looking to spark the side. He almost got through.
It's the first time we've seen him really go out of acting half.
And simultaneous.
That's always a tough one when you see that.
Now Fletcher going to the sky. They've already had some success there. And it's a good take from Roberts, who seems to have recovered from that ankle injury.
Boys, good kick by Fletcher, but he was the only one chasing.
And now it's winning. Now Owner. Well,
he's going to like his chances straight through the middle. You can't give him that room.
Well, it was turnstiles left, right and centre there for the Butchers. They went to sleep. Now it's Hicks.
I reckon this boot's going to go off. Oh, he's left it on dodgy.
Somehow managed to keep it on, man. Not good signs for the Butchers. There's no reason for them to be fatigued in defence this early in the half. And
chance out right here. Now it's Manton shrugging away.
The Dogs with all the running here. They've done a lot of defence and now they're springing back off it.
Let's see if they put this one up. And that's, well, I thought what Ball was going to do, but after defending their guts out, they need a breather. That was composed play from Jared Boyle.
Clever play there from Jared Boyle. They marched up the park. A huge wrap there to Saxon owner. Obviously, knowing the defence that his big men had been through in the middle there, he got into dummy half and he just had the run. He almost split them wide open. And then on the end of it, Jared Boyle, just smart enough to roll that one into touch, Johnny, and just give him some time to reset. Now it's the Butchers, having just been peppering their line, having to do it from their own.
For me, all that defensive work their Collegians done, turned it into attack and marched up the field way too easy for a side that had defended back-to-back sets. That's got to be worrying signs for Jared Costello and his men there, because Collegians looked like they just done it in first gear then.
80 metres they made, and it was those outside backs getting in, rolling up the sleeves, because the forwards from the Dogs have done a mountain of work, and we've only had 11.5 minutes. And now it's up to the Butchers to respond, and that was a positive run.
I think Johnson, unfortunate not to grab a penalty there. And now the penalty, they're going to say hands on the face, but I think it might have been a gimme because the markers there not square, that in the end the same result. I think it might have been a brush on the face, but Ryan Jackson, I think he realised, I'll find a way there.
Jono would have been looking for the palm with his head somewhere to earn his side a little penalty there.
Headbutting an open palm there.
Yeah, that's it.
So that really was a captain's play from Johnson, getting his side on the front foot. And here we are again. The Butchers on attack. The Dogs forced to try and repel another wave of attack. And they go short side. Fletcher throws the dummy. He's already made a line break this afternoon. He's dangerous every time he takes the ball to the line. Johnson looks again blindside. He throws the dummy. There was only one marker. Cross couldn't make the tackle. The big fan, but they've lost the ball.
I think they'll say it was a strip from Collegians and then knocked on in trying to do it, because Michael Henderson, he'd skipped to the outside there. I think it's Wood, the big front rower, who's just played the ball there and come down. that's not the best view we have up here, but I think he's got that one right, Hammer.
Well, he thought he was through Henderson, and then he realised he didn't have the ball. But no, 100%, I think that was the right call there, and the pressure, it mounts.
Joel Johnson out of dummy half starting to look really ominous. He senses that, the 8 points down, this one could just be slipping, and he shapes to the open side and goes back through the middle. He's so dangerous when he does it. But I think he needs, instead of a guy like Hendo steaming onto it, he needs the likes of Higgins and those sorts of men getting up through the middle.
Exactly what I was thinking. He really needs to inject himself, the Thirroul custodian, and he's lurking there in behind the ruck, and let's see if an opportunity comes his way shortly. It's Noble now with the ball. He's picked up and dumped. Hicks was in there low. Fletcher straightening up, going back to Johnson, the big right foot step. And he's driven back, but not before getting the offload away. Purcell got it to Higgins, looking to use his speed. He turns to Tower on the inside. He throws it offload to Gallagher, and Gallagher gets it back to Tower, and to Tower. Well, what's the call? Was it forward?
They're going to say knock on or forward pass. We couldn't see where the ball ended up. There was a couple of offloads there, and it was brilliantly positioning there. That's where Tataua's dangerous. He can skip to the outside, but back through the middle. We remember that grand final try last year, Johnny. That was going back against the grain. He beat about 4 or 5 defenders on that occasion to score one of the best individual tries you will ever see, let alone in a grand final. And he was the same sort of movement there, and Gallagher, the offload away, but just doesn't quite come to fruition for them. But certainly they've got the foot on the throat now.
I like Callum Tataua's involvement, and I really like this second half. Johnson, he's got his hands on the ball a lot more, and doing what he does best is finding metres through the middle, and his support play has been sensational. This is starting to open up. I know they're 8 points behind on the scoreboard, boys, but you just tend to feel the Butchers have got still a lot of points in them.
The Dogs under siege, but they hang on. They're tenacious. They certainly are playing with a lot of spirit, but can they hang on for 26 and a half minutes?
Well, it's where you've got to go to, Johnny, through the middle. They defend on their edges brilliantly. Owner, Manton, their back rowers, they defend so well. If you go sideways, it's completely, they just lap it up. It's like a training run. Through the middle is where you've got to get your joy.
Now Rigg playing the football. Now it's Dow picking out the defenders and almost going through. It was a bootlaces tackle from Purcell. Now Roberts, he didn't quite know where to go, so he goes high. Higgins, he's had a tough afternoon. He didn't want a bar of that. It bounces favourably there. And now going for the line is Harris. And Harris loses the ball.
What about the strip from Walsh?
Jake Walsh really had to make the tackle there. That was very clever. They got all mixed up there. Higgins didn't want a bar of that one the way it bounced. There was a bit of a lack of urgency there even after it bounced there for the Butchers. But Jake Walsh, one man who wasn't waking, he comes up with a big play there.
The Butchers with Henderson. Good post-contact meters. Now they go left with Fletcher. Out there to Dodge. And Dodge looking for an offload, leaving a trail of destruction in his wake as they go short side. Fletcher, he holds it up for Dargan, who gets a hospital ball. He gets an offload away.
He
Play on here.
Hold that Dargan. He was under all sorts of pressure.
Was it even touched by the Dogs? Well, let's look for the signal. No, it's not. It's going to be the last. Johnson awaits. They go right. Walsh, question marks on one of the players there, whether he was onside, but Dargan, he comes up with it. He's going to tow it through as he's tackled, and Roberts will pick it up. They need to straighten the line here, and Roberts runs straight into a brick wall.
Well, hard to blame Dargan there because he was just making the best of having the ball bounce into his hands, but would have liked to see that go high over in the region of Crossland again. That second kick, there was some open space there. That was just money for jam there for Paulie Roberts at the back.
The back three from each team haven't been too keen on getting the ball, and there we just see a mistake, a knock on.
Ellis, the man over there.
So was it Collegians with the first knock on here?
Well, Collegians with the only knock
on. Yeah. Just looking over Damien Siren and blowing up there at referee Ryan Jackson. Not sure why. Fresh onto the paddock there.
Just late on the call, the statue. He just said, knock on. How did you miss that? He said, I haven't. It's your ball. Calm down, statue.
Well, the Dogs are their own worst enemy at the moment. Errors, penalties, really inviting the Butchers, and Well, they're hanging on just at the moment, but the dam wall's going to burst at some point if they don't turn around the way they're playing.
Well, it is fatigue playing a factor now. They've had a mountain of defensive work here in this half. They've been down this end once off that kick from Boyle into touch, but that's about the only joy they've seen with the footy, as Crossan almost poking through that side. The Butchers will want to score soon, though. They don't want to be getting down to this last 10, 8, 9 minutes left with still 8 points to reel in. It gets hard to do. You want to make this pressure count and give yourself a shot at it late.
So Dodge to play at 40 out from the Dogs line as they go right with Fletcher. They're on the field, Sirinen now, he's 35 metres away. Walsh pointing and barking instructions on the right. They go back to the left though with Fletcher, who's had a busy afternoon. Purcell now 28 away, tackle 4, 2 up the sleeve for the Butchers, trailing by 8. And now Sirinen. Walsh out the back, but instead he goes to Noble. He steps inside. He trips. He goes again. 2 metres out. How did they not score there?
Watch Johnson.
Johnson rolls it in the end goals. Is it going to go dead? It's batted back. That'll be
It's gone over.
Almost.
To Tower with the bat back, and Sirinen, and I can't see the player that's down. They both dived on the scraps, but it had gone over the dead ball line. And Jack Noble, he had a sight, and he went for the big right foot step, and he must have the rubbers on because it just went the ground out from underneath him.
He doesn't slip, he scores.
Is it Noble back there in licorice all sorts?
Could be. Geez, he's had a rough year, hasn't he, with the getting knocked around, some stitches and all sorts there. And he's just copped another knock there. But again, we're seeing it there, Johnny, through the middle. Just some interplay there, some passing amongst the forwards. Through the middle is where the joy is going to come. Ryan Fletcher been very dangerous on this edge, but mostly with that interplay from the ruck from Joel Johnson. And you tend to think that's where the joy will come. They've got to stick with it. They haven't quite got the reward yet, but that's where it's going to come.
Would you have liked to seen Jono just dart out and look for an angle runner there on that last guy? I reckon it would have been much more a benefit there if Johnson done that there. It's a bit of a clutch play sometimes, isn't it, knocking it in there? I know they're looking for the repeat set, but when you've got a forward pack like the Butchers do and Callum Tower on that right edge, I'd be giving them the ball.
And a tiring forward pack at that as well.
And if you take the odds to it, if they do pull you up short, you hand the ball back to them a metre out from the goal line, make it do the hard work. Here they are back out at the 23. A free ride to the 20.
7 tackles up the sleeve for the Dogs.
I'll tell you one thing after this season, Jack Noble's modelling career is absolutely kaput.
I don't know if it's the modelling. I don't know how much he models with the shoulders. Looks like what he's dangling there.
He's taken some this season, hasn't he?
Indeed he has.
So now Ellis with the football. Well, is
important set, this one for the Dogs. They've really been their own worst enemy the last couple of carries out of their own end with some mistakes, so they'll be looking for a completion on this one.
Yeah, massive turning point perhaps, that near miss for the Butchers. 7 tackles as now it's Ellis. Harris with the ball now for the Dogs. 5 short of halfway. Thompson. A team that's been under siege for really the first quarter of this second half. Can they land a crucial blow? Dow running across field and taking some stopping as well. So Dodge makes the tackle. He had some help with Sirinen. A couple of tackles still to go here. Roberts, can he spark some magic? He gets away from the tackle there of Purcell. He's eventually roped in 21 metres out. 5th and last.
He's not the man you want, Spencer, with the last tackle, and Higgins well positioned there. He's going to go on the counter. That's a good tackle from Ona, but probably a bit of lack of awareness there, not realising it was the last tackle.
And under the circumstances from Spencer, it wasn't the worst of kicks, but Higgins placed himself in the perfect position. Another penalty. The Dogs just can't take the trick.
Boys, with only one kicking option really Collies have got at the moment, because Jack Cross hasn't kicked yet, whenever Jared Boyle's positionally out of play on the last, it's breaking down for Collegians.
Yes, very good pick up there, Johnny. You're 100% right. Cross, he never really does much of their long kicking, but you're right. In good ball, he has been a kicking option for them, but just not quite injecting himself the way he could. But he's toughing it out. It's a great effort from the young man to be out there and getting through this game, because as we said from the start, he's looked a bit hobbled, but it's going to be Jared Boyle if they're going to get home here. It's going to be off the boot of Jared Boyle solo. Paulie Roberts also another kicking option, but it's going to be on the shoulders of that number 6, as it often is.
Yeah, Cross with a real Cooper Cronk-esque performance. He's really just out there as an extra coach, if you like, on the field as Dodge. He doesn't take a backward step, but he's lost the ball. A big tackle from Ona. And talk about game-changing moments. Maybe that's one there for Collegians.
Well, I think that is a big moment there in the game. I know there's still 20 on the clock. They're behind by 8 there. Jack Cross getting his body in front of them and Onar coming in for the second effort. But the Butchers, again, blowing a chance inside Collegians 50. It's starting to think, are they ever going to break that line? I know you said earlier, Hamo, the damn wall's going to give soon. At stages, it's not looking like it's going to give.
And the problem is that if they keep gifting the ball back, all it takes is one moment of brilliance from Paul Roberts, and it's 18-6, 20-6, and then it's game, set, bingo.
I'd be keeping an eye on Brad Nanton. He's been pretty quiet this afternoon so far. Saxon Owner, his centre partner, been outstanding on this edge defensively and with the footy, but most of his work with the footy's been the grunt work out of his own end. Brad Nanton hasn't had a lot of footy and not a lot of opportunities yet, but we rarely see this year, and 80 minutes go by, Johnny, without him having some sort of impact on the contest. So look for him in the blue boots on that edge.
What about the front-on shot there from the statue?
Oh, how about that?
It was like a statue reinforced into the ground there.
Come here, young pup. Spencer copping a hammering. Rigg throwing the dummy. And that was almost on for Brodie Rigg. And a despairing tackle from Siren in the second effort.
That's a bad penalty to give away there to come up with the boot. That was the end of the set, and they were still looking a bit fatigued, their Collies, at the end of this one. And this will be the first set they've started in the Butchers half, this whole half. We're 22 minutes in, and a bit of a let-off penalty there. Coming up with the boot, one of the ones that are unforgivable, Johnny.
Yeah, sure is there. Unforgivable penalty there. We see Boyle just fine touch there. The crowd absolutely on their feet here. Each side getting well supported, isn't there? Good blend of Thirroul, Butchers and Collegian supporters. I know they're watching in at the Beaches Hotel there, boys. I'll be there in about 40 minutes, I reckon. Have one ready for me.
And Thompson now 10 metres out in potentially a game-defining set. Rigg.
Massive if they score here. Absolutely
huge.
Massive if they score here.
Set to the left. Rigg goes that way. The ball's fired to Boyle. The step. Boyle looking for the line. Can he get it down? No, the ball spits out.
I was about to say, Hammer, come at the moment, come at the man. But a last-ditch effort there from the Butchers, and he spilt that one. And now it's a piggyback for the Butchers coming out of their own end, and they dodge a bullet there. But we just said at half-time, the reminder Collegians got about needing to stay awake at all times there. Butchers just got one right there, very, very nearly conceding a try that you'd think the way the game has played out would have been game, set, match.
Aaron Shop on the field for the Butchers, but you're right, Mitch. Once Jared Ball went off that left foot for the step, I thought he was for all money going to score. Great effort there from the Butchers to shut him down.
So 7 tackles in this set for the Butchers. As time ticks away, 17 minutes left or thereabouts. Johnson waiting at dummy half. He scoops it up with one hand. Such is the talent of this hooker. He's 32 away after that little scoot. Appealing for a penalty of the Butchers. Walsh goes wide. Gallagher looking to tee up to Tower. To Tower slips and Gallagher plays it. Was he held? I don't know, but he was told to play it in any event. Now Walsh, he goes the crossfield kick. He's got Dargan contesting and he loses it. And Roberts, he might be able to make something out of nothing. And he goes to ground. And he's hurt his back here.
He's just got an accidental knee in the back there, Roberts.
Right there in an awkward spot right there in a low. He did well to find the turf because I think he realised he was going to go into touch if he'd kept going. And it was a pretty good kick in the end there from Walsh. The play had sort of gone down the short side and broken down. So he put it up there. Dargan had first crack at it, couldn't reel it in. But Roberts, not for the first time this afternoon, in a bit of strife.
I tell you what, a tailbone injury, if that's what he's done, they're some of the most painful injuries, the tailbone. They're just awkward, and let's hope he's okay. He seems to be up, which is a good sign. But
it's above that left, like that is tough. That's gonna seize up on him. That's gonna be really, really hard to carry. If he's copped a big knock there, that's gonna be really hard to carry for this last 16 minutes.
I think it was Jared Whitty's knee that done it as well.
Yeah.
Whitty's seeking a bit of attention there in the background.
Yeah, he's limping as well. So it's a war of attrition here at Collegians.
Pete McLeod must be sitting in this grandstand smiling like a Cheshire cat, knowing these teams are absolutely belting the living, not going to say it on air, out of each other.
Well, it's a good point you make too, Johnny, because speaking with Hammer beforehand and with yourself before we went live, regardless of what occurs here, the loser of this one probably goes as an underdog for mine into the prelim.
Yep.
West will start favourites in that prelim for mine with the players they have coming back and being well rested for the week. For me, they're going to start slightly in front.
Yeah, you're not alone in that as the Dogs get a relieving penalty. So slowly the momentum is turning, and despite having all the ball, all the territory, the Butchers have no points to show for it. And that could be telling in the wash-up of this one, as now the Dogs just take a breather.
Well, defence has been their bread and butter all year. Hammer, the Collegians have built this season right from round one. They were such a good defensive side, particularly on their own line and on their edges. Make you work so hard for your points, and the attack has come as the year's gone on. They've found their groove attacking, but from the very beginning, their defence has been top shelf, and we're seeing that today.
So Manton with the football in the Butchers' red zone. And you'd have to say, one more try and it just about closes things out. The Dogs. Spencer plays it. Rigg probing, offloading. Thompson away from one, and he's a metre short. Here come Collegians. Rigg's waiting. It's a slow play, the ball. Horrible ball. Boyle picks it up. Passes to Dow. Dow the hit and spin. There's the try. That just may put them into the grand final.
And I cannot think of a more deserving man to score the go-ahead try. Josh Dow, what he had to absorb early on defensively in the middle of the park, him and Jared Thompson in particular, they've just been Trojans in the middle. The venom he's been able to put into his carries at this stage of the game with 14 minutes to go, he hasn't had a spell for a front rower. I know we named our teamers of the year, Johnny, this year. I said there was a bit of Glenn Lazarus about Josh Dow, his ability to, the big barrel chested. He wouldn't have a six-pack under there, but I tell you what, he can milk something out of that keg because he just engine is huge. His ability to come across in cover and make tackles on outside backs just does absolutely everything. And a man more deserving of a try I cannot think of, Johnny.
Fully deserves a try. Fully deserves all the accolades he's got this season because, in our opinion, or especially in my Mitch, we spoke about it at length. He's been the best front row in the competition. Hands down. The minutes he puts in each week, we joke about it saying Nathan Feen must absolutely hate him because he never brings him off for smoko, puts a full shift in, week out, and we've seen him do it this game again, and he's done it tough today. The defence in the middle, the carries of the ball, he's been very, very good. If there's a player out there that deserves a 4-pointer, it is Dowell.
And Fletcher winning. It can't be understated the importance of this conversion. This will bring it to a 14-point game. He moves in, he strikes it, it's online, it's over. And that is an almighty task ahead of the Butchers now, 22 points to 8.
Yeah, it's going to need something big now for the Butchers. Going to absolutely need something huge, although we've seen the way these games play out. What can happen? As soon as the side gets a bit of a buffer like this one, a lot of the time they can switch off and they'll let the other team back in. We haven't seen a clash, Johnny, between these top three sides that hasn't gone down to the wire in some fashion. And a lot of the games have been poised this way and look like they were dead buried. So,
oh, no.
And as I speak,
the Gladiator.
The Gladiators put that into the fence.
Well,
the wrong fence.
It was an all-or-nothing play, and they have come up with duck egg. An egg on their face, perhaps, because that was an embarrassing kickoff. And it's given the Dogs a penalty on halfway.
Is this the first time we're starting to see a bit of frustration in the Butchers? Because that's very unlike Thirroul to do something like that with still 12 minutes on the clock, being behind on the scoreboard. They usually back their ability and grind away.
I think we saw some frustration creeping in the first half, Johnny, long before the game was poised where it is now. They've just been turned away so often to the other end by this Dogs outfit. It is starting to creep in. You're right, Johnny, not the play they'd typically go for, but with 12 minutes left and you're down by 14, something's got to give.
Johnny Pett, I tell you what, this is eerily similar to the corresponding game last season where Thirroul, they were really a no-show against West, and in the second half they were trying, but it was West that kept scoring points. And I just get this feeling again. Having said that, Thirroul went on in the prelim and did the job and booked a spot in the grand final. They may have to do it the same because Merton going for the line. He goes to his winger instead.
They're out. He's out.
It's gone up. The flag's gone up. Well, that would have been absolutely good night, Irene, there.
Yes, it was Ellis.
Still a mountainous task here, but that was absolutely all she wrote if he'd managed to get that one down in that corner.
Nice ball movement there, wasn't it? You touched on Manton being that little bit quieter today than his centre partner, Saxon Onar. But when he's had the ball, he has looked good. He's looked dangerous there. That match-up between him and Callum Tatau has been sensational. Either one of them have not given the other one any room to move.
Yeah, it really has gone to 12 rounds, that little duel, hasn't it? And might even be a draw, but More importantly, the Dogs are going to come out with a win. Well,
that's a tough one.
really?
That's a tough one on owner.
Yeah.
He did lift him. He dropped him on his back. It couldn't have been too far past. Jared Thompson, he's trying to give Ryan Jackson a lesson in geometry there. Not perpendicular, he says. I don't know how good he was at geometry at school, Jared Thompson, although he is a fairly handy tradie, so probably better than I am in that regard. Us pen pushers, we're not very good with the maths, are we?
No, not good with very much, are we? But here it is for the Butchers. This is their last chance, you'd have to think, to get back into this one. 10.5 minutes left. They trail by 14. Siren into the line. Ruskin running on his outside. And he's brought down 8 metres out.
There is shades of the last time these two sides met. Collegians were up handily that day as well.
Johnson to Henderson. He backs his way towards the line but can't get it down.
Who's underneath Henderson's arm? Paulie Roberts.
The top, and he held the ball down there. I'm not sure who was underneath making the key tackle. Now Roberts has just kicked that one into the back fence.
Well, I know Spencer was there as well, and the young fella, he's been good off the bench. He's run it hard with vigour all day. He's copped an absolute pasting from this big Thirroul's front row, but he's kept coming all day.
I do think, as I was saying before Hendo so rudely interrupted me there, shades of the last time these two sides met. Collegians that day, I can't remember the exact nature of the margin, but it was a handy one. They looked home in that one, and obviously the Butchers with the try of the century down the end, they found a way to make it interesting down the stretch, and it was only a missed goal from the sideline from the Gladiator that day that kept Collegians in front in that one.
Looks like Matt Tilley that did that try-saving tackle.
He's playing. He's the Silver Fox.
Yeah, we see him on the field. Now Fletcher, he passes on his inside to Sirinen, who hits and spins but can't get away from Tilley, who's in there making some try-saving tackles. There it is! Henderson over in front of the post. He was denied a minute ago, but not this time. Here come the Butchers.
And Johnson again just probing out of dummy half. He was smart enough. A lot of players, they get knocked back in that situation, and it's amazing. He just got denied before Henderson. It's amazing how often players then throw the whole play out and try something different. They've just gone one to the upright there and back to where the play was. Johnson so smart in catching the players out around the post. It's a tough place to defend. You've got the uprights to deal with when you've got big Michael Henderson steaming onto that one.
Quick
Always
conversion.
tough to stop.
Conversion successfully. Lukey Gallagher puts that one over the black dot. Still 8 behind.
Again, they're 8 behind, but the fatigue factor, regardless with the fact that they managed to get in front, Collegians, and they've scored the try that was likely we thought going to get them home, they've still had to do a mountain of defensive work through this 31 minutes of this second half, so fatigue's still a factor.
You're 100% right, and they're missing an 80-minute back row and Blake Phillips, so this is going to be a massive 8 minutes. They need to hang on for dear life here because Thirroul are going to come, and they are going to come hard at the Dogs. So Boyle gets us back underway. That one floating. It's high and it's taken by Fletcher. And he hits Ruskin.
I think it's Damien Sirinen. Oh, there we go.
It's a bit hot.
Come straight in.
Well, on the carry back, Fitzgerald looked like he got Siren around the head a little bit, but I don't know what's happened at the play the ball there.
If there's been a penalty given away in this situation, you'd almost bring out the shepherd's hook. It'd be the stupidest penalty you can possibly imagine in this scenario. They've just scored a try. 8.5 minutes left, you're up by 8, and you've given a penalty coming out of your own end. This will be
it is Fitzgerald.
A huge penalty. If that's what they're going to do, you'd almost be tempted to. Obviously, we're late in the game. I don't know where they're at.
Let's have a listen to
the report. Mate, number 17 after the tackle.
Oh, yeah, boy.
Coming down with the forearm on the neck.
Forearm.
Okay. Tackles on report.
Report, forearm.
It's Jared Boyle Jared Thompson's come down with the forearm.
Or was it Fitzgerald?
Well, he said number 13.
No,
Fitzgerald's got the 17 on his back.
Well, no, it has to have been Fitzgerald. He's the skipper out there at the moment, Thompson. You don't
You're
call
right,
out,
Johnny, though.
You don't call out the bench forward to come and give you
the touch judge said 13's come down with the forearm.
Yeah, that'll be an interesting one to clarify after the game for sure.
I think it might have just been a case of wrong number there. I don't even think Thompson was in that tackle, so it has to have been Fitzgerald.
I think you're right there. But certainly some clarification, I'm sure, will be sought. But nevertheless, we've got a grandstand finish here as Henderson goes through again.
Oh, he looked for support quickly there, the big fella.
Johnson's probing now, isn't he?
Winding back to his NRL days, and Johnson is looking dangerous as well. Here's Ruskin. He's only 2 metres out. 7 minutes 44 left. Johnson dummies. Johnson
He's got
reaches
there.
out.
No, he hasn't.
No.
Knock on.
No. And some push and shove as well.
I thought he'd got there for certain there, Joel Johnson. You know he's going to have a go from that close.
What about the Butchers faithful behind the goalpost there, coming down to the fence there to give it to referee Ryan Jackson?
He was right there, Johnny,
Yep.
on the spot,
Yep.
Ryan Jackson. No one had a better view of it than...
And it looked almost an impossible task. It looked like he was Go-Go Gadget trying to get the extender arm out and reach it down. It would have been an almighty effort from Joel Johnson, but he really has sparked Thirroul into action. He needed to be the man to do it.
What about Hendo going into the clear? When he was 5 metres out, he didn't even think about who was outside him. Right there, and he went into the space. He was looking for support. But, again, Johnny, not the first time we've seen someone poke their head through the other side, and the support player around the footy not quite
Not there again.
So the Dogs survive on that occasion, but they've still got 6 minutes and 40 seconds to navigate through here. And we said after they scored that try to go up 20 points to 6 that are maybe all over, but geez, Thirroul have proved us wrong, as they do so often. 21 short of halfway. Rigg awaits the ball.
The end of this set's going to be huge for Collegians. They've got to get it right in this one because they are coming home with a wet sail, the Butchers. You've got to give them the footy as deep down this end as they can.
So Thompson slow to play the ball, but eventually gets up, and that's Dowell, I think, with the ball there. It is. Now Roberts short side, so he's the one with the ball. Was he hit?
Whoa!
And there was a puck.
Oh, it's on.
It's going
Brody
in.
Rigg. Fletcher's in now.
Well, this will be interesting.
Well, Paulie Roberts retaliated there and kicked out at Sirinen.
Which we were always going to see. Sirinen, I was about to say it might have been a silly one. Sirinen had already put all the pressure on. I don't think he needed to make contact with Roberts at all, but to my look of it, I don't think it was all that late.
No.
I don't think
Rigg third man in.
there was a
as
whole
well.
lot wrong with it.
Rigg third man in will be interesting as well. Thompson is just trying to cool his jets. He certainly needs...
Regardless of what the outcome is, stupid from Rigg.
Absolutely
from
stupid.
Rigg.
You got you're 8 points in front, 5 minutes to go in a major semi-final. You've got a grand final in 2 weeks. Why would you come in being Brody Rigg, a key member of Nathan Fiend's 17, and put your spot in the grand final at jeopardy?
It's a tough one to see too. We see now they err on the side of the playmakers most often, but we'll listen in and hear what they have to say.
He was trying to wrap in the arms and he was committed.
Got him in the hip as well.
Yep.
I'm happy with that. Mate, after that, got number 14 from Collie.
Yeah. Go that way.
He's throwing
It looks like Rigg will go to the bin here, I think.
14, the little fella there.
Yep.
Throwing a punch.
Okay, so we've got the penalty against Collies for throwing the punch. Yep. Has anyone from Thirroul thrown a punch?
I've not seen a punch from Thirroul.
No one from Thirroul has thrown a punch?
I agree with what he's
So
saying.
Brody Rigg
Okay,
got a punch.
14 and the catching for Collies.
I think Rigg's going to have an early shower.
Just to see where
Joel, we'll have you in a minute as well. Okay, we've got touch judge on, we'll listen to the
Rigg's
report.
gone.
After that incident occurred, I'm happy with the contact. Number 14, throwing a punch.
Number 14, you've thrown a punch?
Yep,
Ten.
that
Wait,
is...
13, wait.
And I think that's the right call because they were happy with the contact. It was a little bit of a lash out
Go!
from Roberts.
Did Rigg just spit at him?
I think he
Lucky,
just
what happened? I think he spit at Hendo.
I think he did.
Hang on.
Michael Henderson just waves him off and says, see ya.
Hang on.
Wait.
He's going to
Here we
get
go.
sent. Wait!
I think he's going to be told he's back.
He's going to get sent here.
He's going to get sent.
What have we seen there?
Wait. Hang on.
Contacted anyone.
Hang on.
Wasn't it us?
He spat at a player.
He spat at a player.
Go.
Gone! Wow!
A moment of stupidity from Brody Rigg.
Well, the call from the touch judge to referee Ryan Jackson was that the 14 spat at the player.
Which I think was the
Hold my
case.
mark
We
for
watched
me.
it
I've
and
got it here,
saw it. But
got it,
huge,
Jimmy.
there's a grand
Yeah.
final to play. There's a grand final to play.
Well,
And you're going to get sent for something like that.
That's
It's just it's a brain explosion.
5.5 to go. One player's gone. We don't need any more.
What ultimately
Let's
matters
finish
with
this-
5 minutes to go will
Let's
be
finish
which
this
way the
game. I need
penalty
you
goes.
guys to go back to your players and play football.
Penalty's gonna get awarded to
Otherwise, more people will be
And I
sitting
think
down.
that's the right call, John.
It is. It was the original call.
because it was play on as far as they were happy with the contact. They were happy with Paul Roberts. But Brody Rigg comes in third man, throws a punch, and then unbelievably, inexplicably spits at a player. Well, we'll hear more about that during the week and on the podcast, boys. But I tell you what, it's not the end of the passage. They will have to finish this game with 12 men.
It will no doubt be controversial, but I think well done to the officials. I think they got everything right there in that instance in what's a big game, and we're going right down the stretch.
So Sirenet out the back to Walsh. Manton the one-on-one strip. Manton gets away from Walsh. And he tries to get away from Johnson and Company. But he's brought down. What a big play from Brad Manton when his side needed it. And now the Dogs have got 5 minutes to hang on with 12 men.
I actually thought Manton was fortunate there. I thought he might have gone for the strip and then spilt the ball, but play on the call. And
well, Harris one-on-one with Higgins, and Higgins makes a try-saver. But the Dogs have got the ball only 20 metres away. 4 minutes 54 left. A couple up the sleeve here. Boyle goes into the inside, gives it to Thompson.
Forward.
Thompson trying to get away from Sirenet. Thompson still going and trying to inspire his side to victory. They lead by 8. Still a couple left. They go to Boyle. Boyle skips to the inside. He gives it back to Harris. He's already made one line break and he's looking to try and score, but he can't do so. So that's the 5th and last. Will they look for the repeat set? Will they run the ball? Boyle goes for the crossfield kick. Going up is Harris. Harris takes it. Harris scores. There's the game. Well, they did it the hard way. They were ill-disciplined at times. But when it counted, Boyle comes up with the big play.
Jai Ellis, the benefactor of that pinpoint kick there from Jared Boyle. Well, it's all over now, isn't it? They've only got 12 on the field there. It's been... The last half has just been ebbs and flows like you wouldn't believe, and there we go, Collies. Jared Boyle, your main man there, Mitch.
Yeah, of course, you know, like I said, cover at the moment, cover the man. He put that kick on a dime and well taken over there by Jai Ellis, and that is the match. But there's so much to come out of this that I'll be enjoying talking about this week. They're making it easy for me this week. The number of stories to come out of this one. Blake Phillips, the injury, will he be all right for the grand final? Brody Rigg, what will happen to him? Because we've seen already, I'm not sure what it was that's kept Alec Reid out of this game, but
Damien Sirenet, what will happen? Well, of course, that tackle in the first half.
Yeah, he got put on report as well, Sirenet.
Got put on report.
So many talking points. Taste of steel. I can't wait, boys. I can't wait.
I think we'll see some early pleas there from Sirenet in that regard. I don't think they were too serious. I don't know how you grade the Brody Rigg incident, what goes on there. I imagine it'd be a contrary conduct would be the charge, but I don't want to speculate too much on that. Decisions made by people other than us up here in the box, but with a grand final to play, and as we said now, Johnny, do the Butchers go in next week as underdogs against West? Because for my mind, they do.
Look, I've tipped Thirroul since the start of the season.
Slight underdogs.
I'm not going to go off them to still go all the way, but look, in a betting frame of a market, you'd have to have West as your favourites now.
Ooh, big call. Big call. We'll talk about it after this.
For the prelim, we're talking.
For the prelim. Yes.
Winning off the post and in. Well,
5 from 5 at the boot today, Fletcher winning.
Not bad for a third string kicker. Unbelievable. Fletcher winning with a nice little bit of icing on the cake. Well, Collegians, they will play in the grand final in a fortnight's time at Wynn Stadium. Thirroul will have to do it the hard way for a second straight year.
They had all 3 grades here, Thirroul. They've only got the 18s through to the big dance so far.
Yes, it hasn't gone to scripts, has it, as Fitzgerald? Jeez, he's been good off the bench, and look at him running with all that youthful exuberance, and we'll play.
It's getting a bit testy out there. The men in the yellow shirts, they're going to earn their beers here in a moment, because I think both coaches are going to have to get there. As we see now again, Ellis in some space.
Well, Ellis, he just scored the one to seal it a moment ago. He puts it on the boot. Roberts is chasing. He toes it again. He's looking for the bounce. He comes up with it again and gives it away, but it's been called back.
Wow.
It's been called back.
I thought it was
taken out with the ball. Ryan Fletcher, maybe.
And you've got to give Ryan Fletcher been outstanding today for the Butchers. Been absolutely outstanding, and still with this game dead and buried, a minute and a bit to go, he still found some energy there to come across and try to deny them the late try. That's a big thing. No for it against it play in the finals either. So
quick tap
and gone, Fletcher.
But he had no one on his outside.
Caught everybody by surprise.
Smash strip. Offside.
No, I think they're saying
offside.
Penalty to Collegians.
Well, you'd think they'd maybe take the 2 and just wind the clock down.
And that's exactly what they're doing, Hamo.
Well, Johnny, I know you mentioned that you think Thirroul go in favourites, or do you think West? Did you say West?
West going next week as favourite. I'm in agreement with Mitchie. I'm not saying for the grand final, but for next week's game, you've got to have Western Suburbs as favourites in that market.
For mine.
Yeah, they are.
Well, absolutely. Well, they have to be. They're a guaranteed. They're the only team guaranteed the grand final. I think by that alone, certainly they have to be favourites.
Has Grant Lynch made a market yet? We requested on the podcast the other day.
It looked to be. I'm not. Of course, we're quick to point out the advantages West will have going into the prelim, being rested with some players coming back. They're not at Winks like Oz. This is still very much a 50-50 game, but on the percentages and the way you looked at it with all what we have in front of us, you'd have to lean towards them just slightly. But the Butchers, they'll regroup. It is the path they took last year as the flags go up there.
Well, what a fitting finish, winning with 6 from 6 off the boot. And Collegians are off to the grand final. They're off to the big dance, and Thirroul for a second straight year will have to make use of their second bite of the cherry.
Indeed they will. It is the path they took to the grand final last year. They'll have to do it that way again if they are going to chase that redemption. Collegians, a huge rap to the young Collegians outfit. They've moved along, and a lot to say, a lot to come out of it. Make sure you pick up some copies of the Illawarra Mercury through the week and listen in to Taste of Steel, because there's going to be plenty to talk about. But Corey Hammond, Johnny Pett, thank you very much for joining us this afternoon. A big thanks to our broadcast partners, UOW College and to McDonald's. In fact, I think I might pass through the ladder on the way home as I go to ride up this one. But thank you very much for joining us. I've been Mitch Jennings. We'll see you out there next week, somewhere in the Illawarra.